Welcome, my name is Nilaus, and today I'm going to give you some insights in how I run my business. My business is a business of content creator. This is my full-time job, so I am treating this as a business, and I'm going to give you some insights in this non-gaming video. So once in a while, I'm going to do non-gaming videos here on my channel. This is one of them. I've done a few before, and I'm going to do more if there is an interest in it. The topic of this video is about mindsets or modes or stances. I don't really know what to call it, but let's call it mindsets. I think that's a great word. This is about different mindsets that I apply when I'm taking action or I'm planning action. So when I'm looking at how to run my business, I am looking at, do I need to follow one mindset or another mindset or a combination of the two? But it keeps me sane and it keeps me from just trying to do everything at once and figure out what are the things that I feel that I right now need to focus on in terms of my business. This is all taken from the perspective of a content creator business, because that's what I do, but I'm sure that it can also apply to other types of one-man companies, such as consultancy. I don't know about sort of running a normal shop because I don't have experience in that. But I'm going to take the perspective of content creator because that's what I have the experience with, and that's why you are here as well. Let's briefly introduce the mindsets and then go into detail with examples and theory on each of the mindsets. The mindsets are an exploration mindset where the objective is learning. Another mindset is expansion, where the objective is growth. And the last mindset is an exploitation mindset, where the objective is monetization. So these mindsets, they should be thought of, as mindsets, not mutually exclusive, not something that is sequential, but something that if I need to plot a direction for my business, I may feel that there's something that's missing, and then I can look at the mindsets and say, what are the things that I need to focus on in order to take my business to the next step? If you like these kind of non-gaming videos that will occasionally appear on my channel, then of course hit the like button and do share it, because maybe not the people who always come to my channel will find this particularly interesting, and maybe there's some people out there who will find it super interesting but maybe don't follow my gaming content. So I hope that you will help share this, and of course leave comment below so I know good ideas, bad ideas, your takes, and your feedback as well on these kind of talks. Let's take a look at the first mindset, the exploration mindset. The objective, as I mentioned, is learning. So what you need to think about here is exclusively what you do is about learning. Now, I have a pet peeve, and I'm sure this is going to evolve into another talk, but I'm just going to do it very briefly. There are a lot of people, a lot of businesses who make huge investments in time and resources, and then when they fail they call it learning because, well, we learned not to waste our time and money on this. If you wanted to learn, if the objective was learning, you can do it more efficiently. And that's something that I would recommend thinking actively about. When are you doing something in order to learn something new? So you might have a hypothesis that you want to test. You think this is going to be good for my business. And in that case, you need to devise a plan in order to test your hypothesis against reality. And that's what you need to do. The minimum amount of investment of time and resources so that you can prove or disprove your hypothesis and move on. Now that sounded very academic, but let me give you some examples from my own experience as a content creator. One of the classic is, I think this new game would be interesting for my audience. Well, how about trying it a few times and see what the reaction is like? And if the reaction is good, then commit. But don't start committing to a 30 episode let's play or removing other things from your schedule and planning it out ahead if you don't know if, first of all, you're going to enjoy it and whether the audience is going to enjoy it as well. So make a small commitment so that you can do the test. You can look particularly at feedback. One thing I would recommend is that when I'm streaming a new game, for example, I look very carefully on the view count, because I know that my view count has a certain curve. In the beginning, more people join, and as we get closer to the stream and later in the evening, they start to drop off. That's a normal sort of curve. But if I play a new game and it drops off faster, then I know that people come in and they didn't really have an interest and they just watched a bit and then moved on to something else. But if I see that it's sort of steadily increasing during the stream, then I know that people who join or just randomly come into the stream, they actually hang around, because then I know that I may be onto something, and this is something that works for the community. So do these tests and analyze the data specifically from a perspective of learning. Another example from my own YouTube channel here is about the editing. So how much would my videos improve if I did more editing? That's sort of a hypothesis that, yeah, well, I could be comfortable and just tell probably not a lot and then just ignore it. Or I could actually do a test. And that's what I did 1 year ago. I specifically did this as a test. I started my series of Factorio videos on my masterclass YouTube tutorial for Factorio. Wow, that was surprisingly difficult. And I did really intense editing on particularly the first ones. And I found that yes, it worked, but it was maybe 20 hours of edit for one video and it was too much. And then I started sort of figuring out a way to script it and record it so that I could lighten the editing load. And I still got the benefit from the edited content, but I didn't have to spend 20 hours, but maybe 2 hours on edit. And that was kind of the testing of seeing, yes, editing helps to a certain extent, but at least for my content and my audience, there's also sort of an upper bound on how much time I should spend on editing, because it'll reduce the amount of content I can produce. So that was really a very clear test where I tested something, gave it a few tries, learned it from it, and then improved or changed it. And then I've continued to sort of improve from there. I hope. You be the judge of that. Let's take a look at the second mindset. This mindset is exclusively focused on growth. So when you're in this mindset, you're focused on growing your channel, your audience, your viewer base, your customer base, whatever you define it as. And that should be the mindset you're in. What does that mean? Well, if you keep doing the same and expect change, well, isn't that the definition of insanity? So if you keep doing the same, you may be making your current audience happy, but you're not really going to attract new audience. So instead, what you need to do is find an audience that could be interested in your channel and your content, but they just don't know it exists yet. That's the main problem on YouTube, is discoverability, and even more so on Twitch. But how do you get people to realize your channel? And there's just daily people who come into my channel and discover this channel for the first time. And that's the people you want to access. So how do you do that? Well, you have to cater to this new audience. And I'll take a few examples of how I did it on my channel, and then you can maybe be inspired on how I did this. Let's start with a Factorio example. I knew that the release last year would generate a lot of new viewers coming into the game. So I wanted to tap these new viewers as the game officially released after, 8 years in early access. Then final release would bring in new people. So I needed the stuff already on my channel that was highly searchable, highly clickable, easy to find. And that meant I planned ahead, and last year, mentioned it before, I did this masterclass. The masterclass served both as testing whether it was worth doing more edits, but it also there to make clickable, searchable content on my YouTube channel that would be evergreen, so that when the release came around, there would be a repository of good searchable content on my channel that would drive people to my channel. And it certainly worked. And along with that, I had my early beginner Let's Play focus, so I could capture the new audience and say, hey, this is how you start the game, and I'm going to help you get started on it. So even in a stale game like Factorio, it's possible to find new avenues for growth as well. Another example is Dyson Sphere program. Again, I tested it to see if there was a good reception. There certainly was a good reception. So in that case, I started rolling out the whole thing with a Let's Play that was running every day, pretty much, and also tutorials, and going a bit more heavy on the remember to like, share, and subscribe on each of the videos, the clickable thumbnails and catchy titles, doing much more of that than I usually did. And that has absolutely been a success. The Dyson Sphere program has been sort of the biggest driver for a single month of subscribers on my channel. And I'm sure a lot of you are coming into my channel, I found my channel from the Dyson Sphere program, and maybe by coming in, you've discovered other content, or maybe you come into my live streams and thereby you become sort of part of my audience after sort of actually making sure that you knew I existed and this channel existed. And that's really the objective when you're in the growth mindset, is how do you get people out there to realize that you exist and come in, and then you have enough offerings that they are going to stick around. Let's talk about the last mindset, the exploitation mindset, where the objective is monetization. And now exploitation has a bad connotation to it. I would have chosen something else, but then I wouldn't have the exploration, expansion, exploitation. So I'm going to keep it, and it's also a legitimate term within business strategy. So we're going to be using that term. The objective is monetization, and this is where it gets a bit dicey sometimes, because quite common. YouTubers, content creators pretend that it's just a hobby and you just happen to make money from it. No, it's a business and you have to run it like a business. That doesn't mean it's not fun and you enjoy doing it, but you have to treat it like a business. So this is sometimes you need to be in the mindset of looking at it and go like, how do I optimize this side of my business as well? Now the methodology, well, or the theory to it, well, all content creation is an attention economy, and there are so many attention economies, but that means that basically more eyeballs gives more revenue. But how? That's the question. It can be either direct or indirect. Direct is in terms of having the viewers who will actually support me as a content creator, for example, through Patreon support or through direct donations, as in subscribers on Twitch, and direct donations. So that's kind of the direct way, where it's the users who choose to support the streamer. It can be merchandise, for example, as well, or it can be more of an indirect way, where basically the fact that I have this audience generates more ad revenue because of more views, and that gives me, and then I can also sell this audience to companies and do sort of what's called sponsorships or ad activations, where I, in the middle of a video, start pushing this random product. As you've noticed, I don't do this. I don't really like it. But that is definitely a way that I can sort of leverage the size of my community and get money from random companies by shoving it down your throat. There are pros and cons of each of them, but that's you can also get but that's a business decision, what you want to focus on. You can also do sponsorship of live streams. That's something I sometimes do, but it has to be something that fits for me as well. Let's take a look at some examples from my business. So I give away my content, or you can watch all my videos on my VODs or all my Twitch streams. You can watch all of those as you like. There's no gated content in that regard. And my idea is that I hope that some of you will choose to support either on Patreon or donations during live stream. And that requires a certain community size before that actually makes sense. But it is the way that I really prefer to run my business. And yeah, so far it's working quite well. So thank you to the patrons and supporters. Another way that I do this is with my live streams. If you've been watching, then when I'm playing Factorio, there's always some kind of gamification, some kind of interaction that when you donate or subscribe, then something happens in the game. And that's a way for, on the one hand, gently remind that, hey, it's an option to do a donation. And also when you do a donation, you all get the added benefit of you see me being happy and I say thank you, but you also see something happens in the game. That means the rest of the community will be thankful to you for supporting the streamer, me. And I think that gamification is incredibly important, and it just makes it a bit more fun, and it also seems to be working quite well. So thank you again for the people who are choosing to support in that way. That neatly brings us to the conclusion of this video, where now I've explained these three mindsets, and as you can see, there can be some things that where you switch from one to the other, and sometimes you need to have one mindset, sometimes you need to have another mindset. When running my business, I will generally be looking at my business and have one area where I feel this area needs more attention. That doesn't mean I neglect the other two, but I'm going to need to figure out how will I grow my YouTube channel, for example. Then I'm going to be in the expansion mindset. I'm going to be looking at ways to do that. So you need to switch between these mindsets, but I think it's very important to be able to articulate that, oh, this is what my company, my business, my channel needs in order to progress to the next level. So what is this content, this video right here? Well, I want to learn if I could make some non-gaming content and put it on my channel just once in a while, interspersed with all the gaming content, and whether there would be an audience for that as well. So it's a little bit of learning, a little bit of exploration. So that's why I'm really keen to hear your feedback, whether this is something that has interest. It's also a little bit of expansion, isn't it? Because if I can do this, and if you share the video with someone who might find this interesting, you like it, it gets more reach, then maybe I could attract a new audience who is not just interested in gaming, but also in sort of these non-gaming content. So it's also a little bit of expansion. If you like this and you feel that I've earned your support, then there's a link to the Patreon below. So there's a little bit of exploitation and monetization in this as well. And that's how it is You can switch from these as you like. And I hope this video has been informative, educational, or at least entertaining. Thank you very much for watching, and stay effective.